Okay, what are we talking about? How to live for God in a dangerous world. And the danger was not the Roman Empire. The danger was not the arena. The danger was not being burnt at the stake. That was not the danger. That was the glorious finish that they would get a crown of life if they're faithful unto death. You know what the danger was? Living in the most advanced, complex civilization in history up until modern times. Roman province of Asia, where those 7 churches are, has more Roman buildings than Italy has. I mean, the capital is in Rome, but they had more Roman structures here. They had more Roman temples. They had more Roman everythings there. This was the epicenter. I mean, kind of like the center of electronics world is Silicon Valley, or it used to be. This was the center of Roman culture right there. It was the most dangerous place for a believer to live because they had a nonstop, almost intoxicating schedule of amusements. You could hear the roar from the arenas. You could hear the sound of the people that are at the chariot races or at the gladiatorial events or at the theater. By the way, they had X-rated theaters. I mean, their theater didn't talk about, innuendo. They did it. And it was very hard to resist. Did you know what, and I've said this many times, but do you know what a gymnasium is? Look it up in the dictionary. Everybody says, I'm going to the gym. I said, no, you're not really going to the gym. Gymnos means naked. Gymnasium means to exercise naked. Look it up, honestly. So does anybody know? We have this new world. In the Greco-Roman world, sports, Olympics, Pan-Isthmian Games, all of those things, foot races, wrestling, throwing the javelin, all total nudity. Do you see why homosexuality was eating the heart out of the Roman Empire? And why the Roman emperors were parading around with their homosexual partners? That's the culture. That's where they lived. It's dangerous. It withers the soul. It reminds me, in the New York Times, they did an article about the Japanese Gypsies. Japanese Gypsies. That's a misnomer. The Gypsies are Roma people. They're not from Japan. But there's a group of people that went into Fukushima. Do you remember that meltdown 3 years ago? The reactor, maybe it was 5 years ago. The reactor that melted down, that radiated the area all around it, became a death zone. Even the robots going in were being melted because the radiation was so strong. It became a global, it's still a problem because the radiation's in the Pacific, and the fisheries are starting to pull in radiated fishing. Okay. People had to evacuate like with 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes notice. So they left everything behind. So a group of Japanese gypsies, they're Japanese, but they call them gypsies because they have figured out they can cut through the fence, sneak in to this radiation zone that's been completely fenced off and it's dangerous, and in 30 minutes they can hit a couple houses, take a bag full of stuff and fence it and make a bundle of money. And they do it day after day, but they only stay for 30 minutes. It's kind of like, not breathing in too much or whatever, we're just going to do it a little bit, smoking or whatever, and not get lung cancer. They thought because they looked great, everything was okay. So the New York Times said that they paid a group of Japanese doctors to take some of these people in for testing, and they did bone scans on them and found that the marrow of their bones was shriveled, and they were so close to going into leukemia and every other kind of cancer you could get from radiation. But yet they looked perfect on the outside because they only stayed for 30 minutes at a time. These people were living in the reactor zone. They were living in the radiation. And God says, okay, what happens when Jesus finds sin in his church? Now, we're not going to stand up. We're just going to scan. Okay, look at chapter 2, verse 4. I'm going to show you each one of these. Nevertheless, I have this against you, that you have left your first love. Now, Jesus did 3 verses of commendation. But you can say, you're wonderful, 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 thank you, but. When your boss comes out and says, you guys have been performing great, but. You know that erases the whole first part. Because that just is so disappointing. Nevertheless, I have this against you. And then look at the verse 5. Remember from where you have fallen. Repent. See, Jesus, that's negative. Okay, look at verse 14. chapter 2, verse 14. Here it is. But I have a few things against you, because you have those who hold the doctrine of Balaam, who taught Balak to put a stumbling block before the children of Israel, to eat things sacrificed to idols, and to commit sexual immorality. This you also have those who hold the doctrine of the Nicolaitans, which things I also hate. I mean, this is just piled on, negative. Look at chapter 2, verse 20. Nevertheless, I have a few things against you, because you allow that woman, Jezebel, who calls herself a prophetess, to teach, and not just teach false doctrine, but look at this, and seduce my servants to commit sexual immorality and to eat things sacrificed to idols. And I gave her time to repent of her sexual immorality, and she did not repent. Isn't that a loving, gracious, this false teaching, immoral, spiritual leader, Jesus gave them time to repent. Amazing. Indeed, verse 22, I will cast her into a sickbed, and those who commit adultery with her into great tribulation, unless they repent of their deeds. This repent thing is, Jesus started his ministry saying that. Did you notice that in Matthew 3? What's his first recorded message? Jesus, repent. His first word, public preaching, repent. Wow. That is not the Jesus that's presented in most mainline churches. He is this lovey-dovey, wouldn't hurt a fly kind of guy. But that's not how he reveals himself. See, Revelation is saying who Jesus is today in his church. And he's saying, repent. Well, keep going. What's the next one? Chapter 3, verse 3. Remember, therefore, how you have received and heard, and hold fast and repent. Therefore, if you will not watch, I will come to you like a thief, and you will not know what hour I will come. Wow. He already said in verse 2, your works aren't perfect. And then he says, repent. Well,